the topics to cut out from 20. Oh, never mind. That's for you.
That's for them. Yeah. All right. I think we are up.
Can we delete that Crackle Box screenshot? Really depressing.
Okay, we are good to go.
All right, we coming up.
We're up on everything, I think. Yep.
All right, wow. Everything came up at once.
Let me fix some layout here on the Instagrams.
Welcome, everyone, to 27. 27,
Sounds
wow.
about right.
We'll be 30 soon.
Getting there.
Pretty soon we'll never want to leave the house and just watch Netflix all the time. And start thinking about having kids. Welcome, everybody, to the 034 Motorsport Live chat feed. We need to come up with a good.
We need a better slogan on this Q&A.
Sorry for mixing things up. We normally do it on Mondays, and we had something come up yesterday, so we're doing it today. Hopefully, everyone catches on and is able to be a part of it. That is normally.
Okay, good enough. Oh no, can't take that one.
Go for it. So thanks for joining us. This is a question and answer session. We're happy to answer questions about anything automotive, certainly anything 034 Motorsport. We've been known to answer questions about dating, relationships, food,
speakers, cooking,
cooking. If you want to know about 3D printing or Arduinos, Nate knows a lot about that stuff. I don't know anything about that. So anyways, please ask your questions in any of the comment fields. I don't know, but
because I set up the cameras and have a filter.
On YouTube, though, we've been getting these women, like many of them are from Thailand and other parts of Asia, who are just really complimentary to how Nate looks.
Oh, is it me?
And then they want to share various webcams with you. So
good to know.
I tried clicking through, but the passwords didn't work.
Great.
But yeah, he's very good. Yeah. But I think the best part about Nate is he's just a nice guy and a super considerate person. Yeah, I mean, you don't get married to someone's looks. You get married to how they are, and that's what you end up living with. I think.
Sweet. I'll relay all this to my wife.
Yeah. If she's ever unhappy, have her give me a call, and I'll explain how lucky she is. I'll be happy to.
I'll swap my number with yours in her phone.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. We got some questions coming in, but yes, please ask away any questions. If we say something that you don't agree with, feel free to follow up, or if you need additional clarification or whatever, also feel free. So you can see it's now jacket weather here in California.
It's getting there.
So
I had one on earlier this morning.
Yeah, it's like down into the 70s now. It's really cold.
Hey, it was in the 40s this morning when I was walking the kids.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so someone is asking about B9a4 tuning. We are working on B9a4 tuning. We do have some beta tunes and files out in the wild. Most notably, our friend Aram. Oh, is it?
Was it?
Great.
Good.
Aram tracks his B9a4 heavily, which is a great option for us to have our tune on his car. It does look like he had an oil starvation event at his last track day, which is common for Volkswagens and Audis.
Not unheard of on the 4 cylinders in particular, just some of the way the oil pans are baffled. Sustained, the longitudinal cars, it's usually not as much of an issue, but some of the transverse stuff, sustained left-hand turns under load can be troublesome at times. So
yeah, generally the more you increase the traction and grip of the car, the more of the more centrifugal force you get.
He's got some aero done. He's got
force.
Sticky tires, so it's a little outside of the norm for what the manufacturer expects to deal with for oil sloshing. Yeah,
so he apparently has his car running today, but he's been running it. We have a few other people, and we no longer do, but we had a B9a4 shop car that we tested extensively. So our goal will definitely be to release a B9a4 tune in 2021, along with a host of other tuning deliverables.
Yeah, it's such a good car. The problem is it's kind of one of those unknowns. in the tuning market on the customer side. So
it's an amazing car.
Yeah, it's a great car. It's
so underappreciated.
Yeah, it's really underappreciated. So there's not a lot of market for it yet. I think that's going to be changing really soon.
Yeah,
once things are coming off lease and more of these are getting into the used and second hands.
Yeah, I'd say it's coming up well. I mean, we saw a lot of B9a4 parts now. But the car compared to the S4, with a good like stage 2 tune on it, the car has a lot of power. The DSG in it's really nice. DSG is great. And the car has a really nice balance compared to older Audis with how Audi has moved the axles up and the transmission. They've been able to move the motor back slightly. Yep. Has a really nice multi-link suspension, front and rear.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really nice,
good, sufficient brakes.
Nimble car for.
Yeah, if you put like good pads on the stock rotors, you can drive pretty hard. You can always upgrade to the S4 brakes. Yep. The car is just lighter. It's very quick and very fun to drive on track. One of the funnest Audis I've driven on track in a long time. But yeah, stay tuned. The market's still coming up, and we're very excited about some of the power numbers we're seeing with the stock turbo.
Yep. And
I think with a nice stage 3 kind of hybrid turbo option, it'll be really good. So yeah. See, just tuned in, and it sounds like a swingers party.
Wow.
Really?
Are you on the right stream?
I wonder what we said that made them think that. I'm not a swinger, so I'm not.
I guess I was changing. Probably changing my my wife's phone number for me.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, right. Yeah, that does sound swingery. Yeah, that's fair. Someone's asking about a hybrid turbo for the Mark 7 GTI. Yeah, so our goal is to release a IS38 MQB tune soon for the GTI.
Yep.
And then we have our R460 turbo that we can put on a GTI. And so we already have the hybrid turbo. We would just have to put it on the GTI and tune it. So definitely something we're considering. We'd like your guys' feedback. I tend to think, that much power in a front-wheel drive car is somewhat counterproductive, but certainly in third gear and up, you can start accelerating with that kind of power. But we always love your guys' feedback. So if you guys are looking for that, or that always helps. Why don't you make a rear B8 camber arm? This is a great question, and this sucks because we have rear camber arms for just about everything. However, to install a B8 rear camber arm, you'd have to drop the whole rear subframe. And it's like a 10-hour job just to install these arms. So again, we'd love your guys' feedback. If you guys would be willing to drop your subframe and spend 10 hours installing these arms, we can make them.
And the arms are expensive. It's a huge piece of material we start with on those pieces. So,
but we could have come up with something.
We can do hybrid bushing stuff, but a lot of it came down to the labor, and then how many people actually needed more camber than you can get in the stock setup, because you can get a fair bit of camber stock on those.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we've not moved forward with that based on feedback we got. I think several times we've asked around to see what people thought, and people seemed hesitant. So we don't want to come out with a product that nobody buys because the installation labor is too long. So
yeah, we struggled with this for a while on the strut brace for the B8, for example, and finally there was nothing on the market. Enough people wanted it. Nothing on the market that we felt actually was enough of a
the B8 strut brace it's a big job. Yeah, there's some. I'm sorry, but there's some pretty bad options on the market that people think are good or work. Yeah. They're just really flimsy solutions. So, our part is substantial and it's very structural. But in order to do that, you have to drop the front suspension. You have to drill new holes. Yep. Can't use existing mounting points.
Yeah, there's just not enough structural mounts that we could implement.
So if you want the solution, you have to commit to the installation, and we've thankfully sold a fair number of those. I'm sure not as many as we would have if it would have been a 20-minute install like some of the stuff out there. Some of the stuff out there literally like you could like bend or break with your hand. Yeah. It's just that's not going to do anything for your strut towers that are flexing on a car with multi-1,000-pound forces.
Yep.
Someone's asking R8 exhaust ETA. I don't have an exact ETA for that. We have 4 prototypes that we're currently testing and evaluating right now. One is on the daily driver R8.
Yeah, and these are all 4 different configurations of the various cars.
Yeah.
These aren't just 4 of the same item we've stamped out.
So for both the V8 and V10, we will offer 2 configurations. One is an X-pipe system, and one is a fully divorced system. The X-pipe system, which is what I have on my car, has a much deeper V8 or V10 rumble. The divorced system has that very exotic.
It's the other way around.
Is it?
Yeah.
Divorce.
Yeah. The X is the more exotic.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. You've got the divorce setup, which is why it sounds like a NASCAR coming down the road.
Really? Okay. Well, anyways, there's 2 different sets. I'm not convinced that's right. We got to look into it. But we have 2 different setups. One sounds much deeper and more V8 burbly, and the other sounds more,
much more
exotic, high revving. And it's just simply because in one setup the exhaust pulses combine, in the other they're kept separate.
Yep.
So we have I have a friend, neighbor, and customer who has the other setup on his V8 R8, and so we've been able to compare both. His setup sounds much more. It just has that more exotic sound to it.
Kind of what your ear would expect from like supercars.
Interestingly enough,
they're very different.
We did kind of a impromptu
A/B
survey
test.
at Summerfest last year, and we had both cars revving next to each other, and it seemed like most people preferred the deeper V8, burbly sound. I like both. I'd be kind of torn. I could go either way. And then all the systems have valving, so you can go from just a little bit louder to stock to fully uncorked, like really loud.
Yeah, the system on our R8 is loud.
Yeah, it gets really loud. As far as when those are available, we're thinking Q2 next year. We're doing some testing with some local V8 cars as well. So, anyways, yeah. So hopefully, if you're in the market for an R8 exhaust, you'll wait to see what we come up with. We feel like we will have a very good combination of price, performance, and the sound options that aren't currently on the market. We also plan on having an external controller so you can open or close the valve unrelated to what the car is doing. So if you want to be in sport mode, you can be in sport mode with the valve open or closed, and it won't be determined by the car itself. B9a4 tuning, similar to the B9a4 conversation, we are working on it, and it's definitely something we want to release in 2021.
Yep.
Very promising platform, definitely much more to come. What are your thoughts on ported blowers? Are all ports equal? I'll just say all ports are not necessarily equal.
Absolutely not.
You're going in and removing material and smoothing various features.
You can remove a lot of material and make things
you can actually make
worse
it worse
or negligible indifference.
But the good ports out there are very good, and they add power.
Yep.
You want to talk about that? From a tuning perspective.
There's a couple out there, but yeah, it's you're controlling the airflow and how it's being routed through your intake path, and like I was saying earlier, you can remove a lot of air, but if you have sharp transitions, or if you've got just a poorly designed tract that the air has got to follow, they can create turbulence. You can create pressure waves in there. It can get worse before it gets better in a hurry. So yeah, there's a couple out there that are doing good work. Right now, a lot of guys are going with either the Joker stuff or B9a4, but he's currently not doing ports at this time. So
the Joker stuff's good. Maddie's stuff is very good, which is what the world record's on. But yeah, we've been working with the Jokers guys, and everything we've seen from them is great. So we don't have any data one versus the other. We haven't had a chance to do that. But
no, we haven't done discrete analysis on every port that's come through for these cars.
But I would say for anyone who's in the market, be suspicious of anything that just says ported blower. there's just like cylinder head porting, just like with any kind of porting, there's no magic in the porting. Just because it says it's ported doesn't mean it's going to do what you want it to. So.
And it's one of those things that's kind of tricky to test because you really got to do it like same day on the with the car on the dyno, swap blowers off and do that to really get it isolated down to the port job. So it's tough having good reliable data around them either.
Yeah. Let's see. What kind of 3D printer do you use, and what kind of filament do you use?
So at work here, at the office here, we use Raise 3Ds. We've got a couple of Pro 2s. They're kind of the workhorses we have here. Filament depends on application. Most of the stuff we're doing is just for volumetric space checking or some flow testing. So we can get away with less exotic stuff. Usually it's PLA for the really easy stuff, or PETG if we need something with a little more thermal withstanding. But no, we haven't had a lot of need to do any of the more exotic stuff, like the peaks or the some of the stuff was mentioned, just because most of the stuff we're doing isn't structurally used.
Yeah,
it's just a flow test or space constraint validation.
But if we need something more structural, then we just outsource that to someone who prints it for us, which is what we did on like our B8 upcoming B8 throttle body.
Yep.
Housing.
Yep. So we have several functional, rapid prints on those, or rapid manufacturers on those, which are much higher thermal working range.
Yep. Someone's asking about internals for the 3.0T. We've never built a 3.0T. We haven't found the need yet. They're pretty stout motors considering how many stock ones are on the market. And it used to be like you'd on a 2.7, you'd like flash stage 1, stage 2, then you'd spend $20,000 building a motor.
If you really wanted to ring out a stage 3 setup.
And on 3.0T, it's really changed the dynamic in the market. It used to be, the average B5S4 customer was spending, 20, 30 grand on builds. And you can have a world record B8S4 for much less than that.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, for under $5 grand, depending on what you're doing. Because just a stage 2 flash with pulleys and stuff, you're looking at, $2 to $3 grand. And you have, an 11-second car.
You're most of the way there.
And then there's some weight reduction and, wheels and tires and, good drag radials and things like that.
We actually had to talk about Sunday's event.
Yeah.
So we actually did a kind of a media filming day this past weekend at the drag strip. So we brought out 2 full weight, completely as driven on the street, street tires on the S4. Actually, they're brand new, full tread. Pretty much the worst possible situation you could think of for a fast drag car.
Right.
Big 6-piston brakes on it. Nothing changed from how the thing's driven every day.
Yeah.
And pulled an 11.2 on it. In our small pulley, so a 179 mil pulley. So nothing, absolutely nothing.
What was the trap? 124?
122, I think, for the trap.
Yeah, I mean, that's solid for a no weight reduction.
Literally driven off the street.
Daily driver car.
Drove 2.5 hours there and drove 2.5 hours back. No math, nothing. Just AC on. I was on our E40 file. And
Did you take out the baby seat?
Car seats were out because I had to move them to my other car.
So cheater.
The weekend. Yeah.
Total cheater run. Okay.
Yeah, weight reduction was removing the baby seats. So.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's a great result.
Yep.
Next year we hope to go out and try to, with the additional staff on board, go out and actually try for some world records.
Yeah. Again, we were just there for filming and for media. We weren't going for everything, and it's a good representation of what the 99 percentile of guys running these tunes do. So it's a solid 11.2 car with we're cutting 1.6 60 foots on it with our new launch control. Pretty healthy for a just full tread street tire.
Yeah, it's awesome. And reliable. Consistent.
We ran
run after run after.
What did we run? Probably 15 runs. Yeah, between the 2 cars, we did like 30 runs. So
that's amazing. I mean, a lot of that is due to the DSG. I remember drag racing B5s and having all kinds of clutch problems, clutch slipping, just trying to get the launch right. We would do multiple drag days just so I could work on the launch and,
Yep.
and dialing in, you know, how much throttle, how does the clutch release, you know, and all that stuff. And then,
Yep.
and then you're just hoping the clutch puts up with it all long enough to bring it all together. So ESG has really transformed the Audi world as far as being able to drag race. And it makes it fun and effective.
Phenomenal transmissions.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So someone's asking, should I buy APR's B9a4 Tune or wait for 034s? Well, again, you've come to the most biased source possible,
Right.
but we would recommend waiting. You know, it's crazy how much time you can pass watching TikTok. So, but it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a good 6 months.
It's going to be a bit.
Yeah, before we have something on the market. So, but you know, our goal will be to take that tune to a new level that no one has taken it before. Add a lot of the features and functionality that we have with our other tunes like the B8, and then we will continue to support it for years to come. Yeah. So I don't know how much support and cutting edge innovative tuning developments people can expect from APR in the future. You know, it's hard to say, but it's not.
Historically, it's been they're pretty short on each project.
Historically, it hasn't been great because they'll work on a platform for a year and then they'll just move on.
Yeah.
But now with a lot of the changes going on there, I really don't know.
It's tough to know
how much to expect. So, and a lot of it's going to depend on who acquires them and what the new owners want from the company. But they've kind of been buried in this big conglomerate of companies now, and there's nobody who's, you know, really internally at APR really, you know, the heart and soul of APR. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch. But you know, I only make that point to you know, emphasize that we are not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's
our focus is growing. And while some companies are divesting out of their tuning and engineering, we're investing.
Yeah, we're
heavily into
full steam into it, and we're bringing on more and more staff for that effort as well right now. So.
We're full steam ahead. We're excited about developing innovative tunes, and if you're looking for a tuning partner to grow with you as your expectations and interests develop and grow, then 034 Motorsport is committed to that. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, someone's asking about thoughts on the APR price change. So APR did release some new pricing for some of their tunes. I glanced at it over the weekend. And some of us here did. The pricing is definitely aggressive and heavily discounted from what it's been.
Yeah.
We have to decide if that's something we want to respond to. You know, I don't know. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying too much again, but. I like to be open and direct with everyone on this live chat, and you know, we put a lot of time, energy, and money into our tunes, and we work really hard on them. The B8 tune, if you bought our B8 tune 2 or 3 years ago, you've had how many updates to it?
Countless.
Yeah, dozens and dozens of updates with new features and functionality. We don't get paid for the additional downloads of that, and we're happy to continue to offer those for free to our customers. But we are actively putting money into our tunes. We're actively putting time into it. The reason APR can discount these tunes is because they developed them and finished them years ago. And so they've just been sitting on the shelf. And now they're not really selling because they've kind of fallen out of style, and they're outdated.
I think that's a good way to put it. Is they've kind of become pretty stale in the market.
Yeah, I mean they were good tunes at the time, but it's like
the market's moved on. There's a lot better options out there.
If you bought a phone, you could buy the best smartphone in the world 5 years ago. It's now not a very good smartphone. So this is what happens with tuning as well. So they're discounting the tunes that have become outdated, that aren't selling, and they're just looking for some quick and easy revenue. And so they're just kind of like fire sailing all these tunes. So anyways, that's what's happening. they're certainly a good deal. I don't know if they're a good value. I guess that would be up for anyone for their own consideration. I know I saw some stuff come up on some of the groups this weekend in the BA groups.
It depends on what you want. Yeah, what you want. I mean, again, these are kind of older tunes that they haven't touched in a while. They don't have anywhere near the feature, depending on the platform, don't have anywhere near the feature sets that
yeah, and there's
current
no future support. So what you get's what you get. If you want different burbles, or if you want different features and launching functionality and two-step. I mean, if you want two different types of launches that are fully adjustable, you can't get that with those older tunes. So, but the consensus I saw in some of the groups was that even at the lower pricing on the B8, our tuning's still
that's the thing value. Is like if you end up with this discounted price tune and then it doesn't do what you want, you're still out that much plus the actual thing that you want. So, buyer beware, I guess.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't think we're going to do anything as far as discounting our tunes more, because we want to continue to invest in them. We want to continue to develop them. But I do think that APR's doing this to just generate some quick revenue and profitability before their company sale. So that's really what's driving this, and it'll be interesting to see how other tuners respond as well, because I know other companies in the industry are actively investing and pushing their tunes. Even our direct competitors, I know that they're, Integrated Engineering, I know they're trying really hard to have the best tune on the market, which I respect.
Absolutely.
And I would say at least go with IE or 034, because we're trying.
We're both active.
We're working on it, and I think you'll continue to see more from both companies in the future. Even last year, they had some issues with their tuning, and they worked really hard to correct them and move past it. So props to anyone who's willing to do that. I can't say anything bad about that, but I think once a company gets to a certain size and it's just looked at as a financial engine for profitability, and it's buried inside a bigger group, then I think at that point it's not serving the customers like it could. And I would like to think the market will favor the companies that are still trying to do that.
I would hope.
So that's all I'll say.
I'm sure the bottom dollar stuff is going to be, it's going to absorb some of it. Yes. Fight so much of that.
I'll start working on my apology for next week, Nick. So someone's asking, are APR's stage 1 and stage 2 tunes more refined than 034? I hear 034 is only good for stage 2 plus aggressive power gains.
I'm going to assume this is a 3-liter related question.
Yeah. Wow. I'd love to know what this person has heard.
Yeah. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, every update and iteration that we've come across, and every new thing we've discovered or refinement we've added to the 2 plus stuff gets adopted into the stage 1 and stage 2 stuff as well.
Yeah, it's just funny because I remember like 3 years ago the thing was 034 is smooth and refined, but they don't make any power. And now, now
apparently we're the raunchy animal in the house that doesn't know how to do it.
So I don't know if maybe Nick or Sean, you want to link some of our other talks on this. Damn you! Sorry, there's a gnat that's been driving me crazy.
Now PETA's going to be all over.
There's several different chats we've done about this, but I'll just say in response to this that for us, 100%. Smoothness, refinement, and power gains are all come hand in hand, and those are variables that we treat equally high, and we're not willing to compromise any of those, for the others.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's an issue with drivability or something like that, I'd love to hear about it. But right now our stage 1 through 2 plus files are both we hear over and over that it's the best driving as well as best performance.
Yeah, so I would just love to know, what you heard, and we'd love to talk to you about it. So reach out to Nick or Sean or email me. My email's javad@034motorsport.com. Always happy to chat, but we're looking for the most optimized, the most optimally compromised tune.
Yep.
So,
and we drive the crap out of these. I don't want to be driving a car that's...
We drive them hard. They make a lot of power.
in any way, or
and they drive smooth. So, I mean, Nate will verify, but I spend time driving every tune to make sure that it's smooth and drivable and at least as good or better than stock. And of course, a whole range of staff here do as well. And then we have a whole beta program that we do as well with customers. So there's, before we release a tune, there's probably at least 50 people who've weighed in on the smoothness, drivability of a tune, not to mention, we've done all the engineering, data collection, and dyno to know that the tune is making the most optimal power that it can. So,
and we still will refine and update as we need, and we find new things. So
we've improved refinement, we've improved the drivability, we've increased power consecutively, like several times a year for the last 5 years on our 3.0T tune. So, if there's a tuning issue, if there's a drivability issue, if we're not the fastest tune on the market, we'd like to know about it, because we're going to work really hard to make sure that we're all those things. Someone is asking about a high flow cat for 3.0T. We do not offer anything. We've toyed with the idea. The factory cats on the 3.0T aren't great. They do wear out, even stock. They wear out too soon. But it's not like they wear out every year. I mean, it could be 5 years between.
Totally depends on the.
And if you have a bad tune or something,
what
it's going to be worse.
How it's being driven, the conditions it's being driven in. So
right. But a lot of people on the market opt for test pipes for their driving use.
Racing only.
Their racing use. And there are some high flow cats on the market. I'm not sure I'd recommend them, unfortunately. But I'm not sure. I know JHM has some high flow cats which use standard, high flow cat cores. That could be a good option. We just haven't used them here.
Yeah, it's tough to speak to other vendors.
Yeah,
we don't have any of the
but
longevity.
I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we'll release anything at this point. Black Friday sale. Someone's asking about specifics. So we don't usually talk about our sales before they happen. So we typically will announce sales when we're ready to announce it and let the market know. We have had a Black Friday sale every year for like the last 8 years, so you could probably do the math there. But we will release more information in November about any upcoming Black Friday sales. But I think it's safe to say everyone in the industry will be having one. That's just the way things go these days. So someone's asking about this stuff here. So we have some new merchandise that we just released last week, and we actually have redone our merch store on the website. Is that what are we calling it? Our gear section on our website. So if you go to the top of the website and you click on gear, you can see all the stuff we have. And none of this stuff makes your car go faster, but it does make you look much more handsome or beautiful. So we have some new cup posters that we just released. And these are modeled after our ZTF wheels. Someone hand model these.
Oh, geez, no.
And that is our ZTF wheel design. And so I believe there's 4 included, 4 or 5.
I think it's 4.
4. And they come in this nice little case. And you can see I'm using one here. They work great for protecting your tabletop from condensation, but
your solid metal tabletop.
This cast iron table. And what do they cost? Yeah, we price them very reasonably. I think there's other options on the market similar to this that are much more expensive. And typically with our swag and gear, we're not trying to make a lot of money. These are $18 a set, so these are great gift. Or if you want to have something cool on your desk to show your refined sense of taste in automotive aftermarket, it's a good option. Then we have a new R8 shirt. So this is our line of shirts that we call lines. And so this is the outline of a Mark I R8. And these are available in all sizes, and I believe we have women's options for most of our shirts as well. So, ladies out there, we'd love to sell more women's shirts. At this point, we will be happy to give them to you if you wear them and show them off. But we love having women join in on the fun, and we have other things like beer glasses. We have
Hats,
a lot of various different hat
sunglasses.
options, sunglasses, keychains. What was that, Sean?
Valve stem
Our new
caps.
valve stem caps, which we released, which have been selling. Yeah, just one Ugga to install those. Oh, 0. Oh, it must be like 0.1. 0, they would just fall off. Oh, okay. So one UGG. And then what else? And we have a new industry record-setting size coffee mug coming. After careful market research,
market study.
we were able to one-up the other biggest mug option on the market by 1 ounce, and we're very pleased to have that coming. These are our old mug that's
prototype design.
was beat by a competitor. So yeah, and this new coffee mug is something that's optimally sized to allow the optimal ratio between beverage amount and temperature while drinking. So, the problem is if you go too big, it cools off while you're drinking it. You're drinking cold coffee. Nobody wants that. So there is an optimal size. But yeah, check out our gear section. This is not, but this is a North Face jacket that I have embroidered. I've been doing this every year for, I don't know, 12 years or something like that. It's kind of like my personal trademark. So no, these are not, but if you want to do this, we'd be happy to send you our logo, and you could have it embroidered at a local embroidery store. All right, let's see. Next question. How do we know when tune revisions are released? How do customers know? We need to get better at this.
It's currently we're trying to
tell me.
Yeah, currently we're trying to email updates.
It's been emailed. Okay, so a recent thing we've been doing is emailing customers who have bought that tune. Yep. We announce on our various social media channels. If you own our tune, you should be in our 034 Motorsport customer group, which is on Facebook.
Yep.
Just go search for 034 Motorsport. That's a great place for all things 034. It's a positive sanctuary for all things 034. If you're a negative jerk, we'll just kick you out.
On that note, though, we do take feedback. Of course, it's nothing.
Of course.
If there's an issue,
feedback is not negative.
Yeah.
I welcome feedback. I welcome it at the company from employees. I welcome it personally.
Yeah, if you're just going to be there spamming some other,
we certainly are what we are based on feedback we've gotten from customers. We would be delusional to never need feedback. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're just a jerk, then that's another story. So. But yeah, those are some of the ways. And then, of course, you can always just log into your tuning account whenever you want and look for any new files there as well.
Yep.
And that's free to do. You can log in it's like TikTok. You can just do it as much as you want until you're happy. Flex fuel for B8S4. Something we're talking about.
It's certainly something we're talking about.
Yeah. So, something we've discussed. We've increased our tuning and engineering resources here at 034 Motorsport by the end of the year by a factor of at least 3 or 4. Yeah. By January, it could be at least 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
With some of the conversations we're having. So, there's a lot of things that we've kind of talked about and dreamt about that we can finally start doing.
Yeah.
We now have the resources. We just have to prioritize.
Yeah, and it's just we know how to do all this stuff. It's just
it's a time and capacity issue. So, Nate's been with me in 034 Motorsport since 2015, and at one point
2015.
No,
2005. Bro.
2005. Sorry, there was a 5 in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, Nate's been from the very beginning since 034 started, basically 2005. And when we started, we had nothing, and so we've slowly built this over the years. I've never had an investor. I've never taken in outside money. We've built 034 Motorsports what it is based on the successes that we've created every step of the way. So we made $1, we reinvested it. We made $2, we reinvested it. All the way up to, the multi-million-dollar company that we are now, which is really exciting for us. But we finally have the opportunity to continue to grow and build on everything that we've done, and so we're very excited about what's to come. Hang in there. I think 2021 will be a very exciting year.
There's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline soon.
Yeah. Are we going to see more cool stuff for the DAZA 5-cylinder coming up? Will we see a catch can? Yes, yes, and yes.
Yep.
So we actually, as I was walking to come over here to do this, I saw our new DAZA catch can design printing in the 3D printer, and I glanced left and I saw it on the screen of one of our engineers who was working on it. So that is definitely happening. We have our fuel pump surge tank product is still on the way and being finalized. What's going on with the camera? It keeps getting blurry.
Oh yeah, looks like it's auto focusing weirdly.
It's like focusing. Sorry if things are getting vertigo right now.
Camera's doing some weird things right now. It's a good catch.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's doing that.
And
Probably Nick's fault.
Yeah, Nick, did you step on something? Seriously,
he's sitting on a going all spaz right now. Can you actually tap the touchscreen on that and then grab one of our faces as a zoom point? Maybe half press the shot button.
Oh god.
Yeah, we might lose the whole feed here in a second trying to fix it.
Sorry guys. Looks like it stopped freaking.
Apparently the camera's got some issues right now. Okay. Well,
anyways, what was I talking
about?
Catch can. Yeah. Fuel surge tanks on the way, and we are not done with DAZA by any means. No. So there's a lot more coming. We will be releasing in the next few weeks our whole line of 4-inch intakes. These are full-sized 4-inch intakes from the turbo inlet elbow, the turbo inlet pipe, all the way through the airbox. We will have open and closed top options. And we will have retrofit kits. So if you have one of our older intakes, you can upgrade it to the 4-inch pipe if you want to. You don't have to. And with the independent testing we've had done, these intakes flow as well as anything on the market. And as per the conversation a few weeks ago, they're not shrouded, which is a good thing. They don't have the biggest filter. So
right, I think we've covered it all there.
So anyways, lots more coming for DAZA. Oh god, someone says, can we get a screenshot of Javad's weekly TikTok screen time? Annalise, is that you? Is that one of Sam and Annalise? I have a nice, fun TikTok thread going with them where I share the most humorous TikToks I come across. I gotta say, it's kind of addictive. I just started playing with it a few weeks ago just to see what all the hype was about, and there's actually some really, really good content on there. Really funny people. Seems like pretty much like all these Hollywood actor wannabes are a lot of these people are really talented, really funny. They haven't gotten their chance yet, and they have really funny TikToks. So, and a lot of good cooking stuff on there. So yeah, it's probably way too much and growing, but it is a good distraction, like I always say. Plans for the 1.4T market. Not many options. Yeah, we have a whole 1.4T slide in our project management system.
Yeah.
It's tough to know.
Yeah, we're kind of disconnected from that market a little bit here in the U.S. So we don't get a lot of
the bulk of the market's certainly overseas, but there's the Jettas here that have it. We're just not sure how many people would actually do it. So, I do think it's a good thing to look at from a tuning standpoint. It's a great little motor, man. I mean, what a great little motor. 1.4. It easily puts out 200 horsepower. But that's not something we're still thinking about.
Yeah, we have everything from
into.
mounts to some intake stuff we've looked at, and then tuning. So yeah, we've certainly been. It's on our radar, but it's that's as far as it's gotten.
Yeah. This is a great question. Can you explain a little bit behind the principle of timing in regards to tuning? Why are some vendors hesitant to increase timing where others are more liberal with it? Let me just talk a little bit about what timing is inside the engine.
This is ignition timing.
Ignition timing.
In a gasoline engine.
All right. So there's lots of different types of timing in a motor. There's cam timing. There's the timing of the cams to the crankshaft and all that stuff. What we're discussing here is related to ignition timing, and this is related to typically what's known as a timing advance curve, which any engine needs to run properly. And so what happens is in a 4-stroke motor, there's an induction stroke where the piston is going down and the intake valve is open, and so air is being drawn in. At some point, that piston comes up and the intake valve closes, fuel is injected, and that fuel-air mixture is compressed. And then there's a spark plug that ignites that air-fuel mixture. And there's different ways to think about what happens after that spark happens. But technically speaking, what happens is that there's a flame front that propagates throughout the combustion chamber. And the term propagate's important because it's not just a massive uncontrolled explosion like what would happen maybe inside a grenade.
Yeah. Or if your fuel octane is far too low for what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. If the timing isn't right and everything isn't correct inside the motor, that explosion can create a grenade or damage the piston or cylinder head or the head gasket or things like that. So, if you've ever seen these videos of like diesel tractors and this cylinder head like literally blows off and the tractor runs over its own cylinder head. But imagine this is the piston, and my hand is the flame front that's propagating. So in any motor, you want that piston to come up, and as that piston hits top dead center and begins to go back down, you want that pressure wave from the flame front to hit the piston as it's heading back down. If that flame front hits the piston on its way up, then you have a collision of two forces moving in opposite directions. You want the flame front expansion or that explosion to be happening as the piston's heading back down. Now, where does ignition timing come into play? It takes time for that flame front to propagate, and that's why I keep talking about propagation, because it's not an all-at-once thing. But in order to begin the flame front so that the pressure wave peaks at the right time, which is when the piston's on its way back down, you have to fire that spark plug before. So that's why it's referred to as timing advance. The spark happens before the piston is at top dead center, and it happens at some number of degrees of crankshaft rotation before top dead center. Now, at idle, that could be anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees. It could even be negative at times based on emissions.
Yeah, a lot of the idle timing is going to be emissions.
It's going to vary greatly. But any motor loves to idle at 5 or 10 degrees of advance. That's what it needs. A normally aspirated motor with a medium compression, say like a 9 or 10 to 1 compression, you could run up to 30 or 40 degrees of timing advance on that. And that's just how long the flame front needs to propagate and to hit that pressure wave when the piston's going back down. Now what happens is as you increase the load on an engine, the timing typically drops because the amount of pressure in the combustion chamber goes up. You have more air, more fuel going in, and so the forces become greater. And you don't have to fire the spark as soon to create that peak pressure wave. So in a turbocharged motor, say running 50 pounds of boost on like a relatively normal fuel, like you can't on 91.
No, you're not on 91.
Let's say on a high octane fuel or even on E85. You might get down into the 10 to 15 degrees of advance range because there's so much pressure. You don't need to start that explosion any sooner than you need to.
The more pressure in that cylinder, the higher the temperature, and that flame front and the fuel volatility just goes, is going to happen faster and faster. So
that's right.
You just can't run as much advance because that it turns into more of an explosion than a flame front at the higher loads like that.
Yeah. So one issue you get with timing is if you do it too late, then you have this flame front expanding out the exhaust valve, which causes EGTs to go way up. You do it too soon, then that pressure wave hits the piston on its way up, and that's what is essentially when you hear about detonation. That force can bend a rod. It creates a lot of heat that can melt a piston ringland. It can melt a valve.
The forces are way higher on the cylinder than what you would normally get.
You have this narrow range of timing advance that you can implement based on the load that the engine is seeing or the combustion chamber is seeing. And if you get it wrong on either side, you can damage the motor. Excuse me. And if you get it right, you make the most power and you have the safest operation. So I don't think it would be there's no hesitant to do one thing or the other. You just optimize it.
Right.
And you engineer it correctly so that the engine's running in an optimal way.
Yeah, and it's not that we're liberal with anything. If anything, we're very conservative with how we do it. To some customers' disappointment, where we just won't throw them these Hail Mary files. We want to see logs and data, and some engines are much noisier than others. The guy today that I'm dealing with that wants all these aggressive maps and wants all this power, but he's getting 10 degrees of ignition, knock activity retard. And there's something going on that needs to be figured out, and we're not going to just throw more time.
I mean, it gets very complicated very quick, and so
yeah,
what I described is a pretty simple, high level look at what is ignition timing, why does an engine need it, and then as far optimizing it's a whole nother.
Yeah, as far as what various other tuners or what we do with it, we tend to rely heavily on actual data from our testing, or in this case, if it's a customer asking for something, we'll review how their setup is running now.
Well, that's what it was, right? So advance is advanced of top dead center. Yeah, so when the piston's at top dead center, if this is 0 degrees of advance, this is 10 degrees of advance, 20 degrees, the further as the piston moves further and further down on its way up, you're advancing sooner. Retard is it could be some amount that you're applying against the advance, or it could be that you're actually firing after top dead center, which does happen mostly for emissions reasons. If you like hook up VAGCOM to your motor and you're driving and you watch the timing, I mean, it could go from 15 degrees to -10, and it's jumping all over the place.
Yeah, and the OEMs, well, and all the modern ECU stuff will do a lot of engine smoothing, and just some drivability stuff with timing before it actually touches the throttle. Like when you lift, you'll see the timing jump. You'll see all this crazy stuff happen. That's just to control the smoothness of the engine and how the engine feels, basically, because you can do it almost digitally fast with ignition timing versus waiting for the airflow to change in the motor. So there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I don't know if when I was a kid, we used to play tetherball, right? And the ball's spinning, and as it's going by, you're hitting it, and that's kind of what the combustion chamber is trying to do to the piston. As it's heading back down, it whacks it to go down. But you need the advance because the flame front takes a while to propagate. So you have to start the fire before TDC, but you don't want the pressure to peak before TDC. The pressure should always peak after. And it's like a sine wave.
Yeah. And it's completely different depending on the combustion chamber design. You're not going to see the same advances across multiple motors almost ever. So like MQB stuff, 2-liter stuff has a very different advance curve.
Every motor has its own advance curve. A lot of it's based on the torque peak. The torque peak is when combustion pressure is highest, so the timing has to be the lowest.
Your cam profile has a huge effect on it. If it's a turbo or supercharger, the airflow delivery, because your back pressure plays a big part in it. So there's a lot of stuff that comes into play.
We could talk all day about this. So we should. This is a great topic. We should we'll discuss a little deeper next week on a little bit more. But I think the key is there's the optimal timing for a motor. There's not a lot of interpretation. There's not like different philosophies on engine timing. Yeah. It's based on pressure. It's based on combustion pressure, and it's based on optimizing the force of combustion pressure to enact on the crankshaft through the piston and rod. Mm-hmm. All right, we're down to about 6 minutes. Let's see. Someone's asking, do you have to grind the knob off when installing your crank pulley?
So this is the 190 mil. I've heard a couple people have had to do a little bit of trimming. The 179, I don't think I've heard of anybody having to do any trimming.
This comes up every once in a while.
Yeah, there appears to be a little bit of variation on the 190, but I don't think we've had to grind any motors here on the maybe one. It wasn't on mine.
I've asked engineering and service about this, and they claim that they don't grind. So I don't know.
I think it's weird.
Is there different?
There might be a little different casting or
there's variation. Yeah, there's casting variation, but is it a tolerance thing, or are there actually different features?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we need to add a note about looking out.
I think it's on the 190 that you may have to grind. Yeah. It's not on all the motors.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone's asking, what hardware modifications do you recommend to optimize your B8 for 2+ tuning, drivetrain, suspension, etc.? Well, I think you want to do the upgraded heat exchanger. You don't have to do anything to the rest of the car if you don't want to, but you really should. I would take a look at our catalog of suspension parts for the B8S4, our rear sway bar, our control arms, our upper adjustable control arms, our Dynamic Plus lowering springs. The factory dampers are really nice on that car, and then certainly all of our inserts. If you do all that stuff, the car is going to be able to use the power much better, and it's just going to be a much more fun and accurate car to drive.
Yeah, and sorry, I was reading a little bit. I don't know if you mentioned the intake. The stock intake is a large restriction at that power level.
And we will be releasing our B8S4 intake in the next few weeks. That's definitely something you want, and then we'll be releasing our throttle body kit early next year. So those are all definitely things you want to look at. I mean, I hate to say it, just pull up our catalog and go to town. I mean, that's why we have the catalog.
We don't have any fluff in there that you don't.
No,
doesn't make a difference.
Speaking of blowers, has anyone done research on deleting the intake runner flaps?
I haven't actually seen a lot of good data on that.
There hasn't been a lot of talk about that. It doesn't appear to be a big restriction. I know it's been done on like the MQB.
Yeah, they're not real problematic on these motors. So
they usually get left. Yeah. Hope you guys consider tuning on the DS1 platform as well. We are considering it. It's definitely something we're looking into, and we've been chatting with the Dyno Spectrum guys, and there's certainly a lot of mutual respect there. So definitely something we're looking into. Not a lot of time left. What's your boost on the 3.0T dual pulley stage 2 plus at wide open throttle?
It's going to depend on
it rises with RPM.
Yeah, what pulleys you're running. Typically speaking, millibars, that's what the ECU is reading. Generally, it's going to be between 2,300 and 2,400 millibar.
Yeah.
That's pretty common on those. Again, it depends on what pulleys you're running, what altitude you're at, how much of an intake restriction you've got. But that's the general range.
Let's see. B8 19 ZTF wheel ETA. We have several sets here on in-house cars now, and I believe we won't have them in stock and be able to release them in the next few weeks. So things are looking great. So hang in there. We're almost there. We will also have the 19-inch RS3 8 V.5 wheels at the same time as well. They fit TTRs as well.
Is it more effective to remove the extra heat exchanger on the B8? I'm not sure which extra heat exchanger they're referring to.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, our heat exchanger upgrade kit replaces it.
I'm not sure what extra. I'm not sure what they mean by extra heat exchanger. All right, well, we're pretty much out of time. Anything else we want to?
Does your ZF tune for the A6 C7 change the red lights on the RPM gauge, the new RPM range on the cluster? That's actually in the ECU tune, and you will see that increase. You'll see the red line change with the ECU tune. That doesn't mean that it's going to shift there necessarily, but that's what the ECU will basically allow for.
The cooler on the left.
No, that's for the cooling system.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's some ADS stuff and there's some other power steering cooler stuff that's on there, but that all remains. Yeah, we'll just need a little.
Yeah, no, don't remove any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know why that would be more effective, anyways.
Okay. Yeah, no, we don't remove any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, keep all that. All right, well, I think we're out of time. So thank you guys for joining. Great questions.
Yep.
As always, we really appreciate
Busy today.
having a chance to talk to everyone, and hopefully the timing didn't screw anyone up, or maybe it introduced us to some new people. I'm not sure.
Advanced or retarded?
Well, we retarded the date.
We did.
When we had it. So, all right. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week on Monday, usual time.